Hey guys, and welcome back to a day in the normal life of Envato Travel. We are Envato Travel, and we like to take you on trips in our Tesla. But since we have no trips planned right now, I figured I'd give you a day in the life of living with an EV. And since Cassie's at work today, you get to be stuck with me for the first part of this video. Starting our day, one of the biggest worries people have when buying an EV is how am I going to charge it? And that is actually one of the best parts of having an EV. Instead of going to the gas station to fill up, we have an outlet in our garage where we charge and have a full charge every morning. This is a 1450, 220, 240 volt outlet hooked up to a 50 amp breaker, just like any outlet you would have for your washer dryer. And with it, we have the Tesla mobile connector with the same 1450 plug on it. So this charges at 32 amps. So if you take 240 volts times 32 amps, you get about 7 kilowatts going into the battery. And that'll get us from 0 to 100% within around 10 hours, so overnight. This is considered level 2 charging. Level 1 charging is just your typical 110, 120 volt outlet that you'll find around your home, and this will only get you around 1 or 2 kilowatts an hour, so just a trickle charge. But we use this a lot when we're on the road, just camping or at someone's house. Level 3 charging are the fast DC chargers that you'll see out on the road, like the Supercharger network, and those will get you up to 480 volts or 250 kilowatts of power going into the battery. That's a lot of power. And I gotta get to work. It's about a mile's drive to both Cassie and I's work, so it takes around 1 to 3% round trip, depending on how much we use the heat. When we get home for lunch or at the end of the day, we can just plug right back in and recoup what we just lost. And now it's time for lunch and to make leftovers look fancy.
Yay!
We discovered at lunch that we're low on food, so we gotta make a trip to a grocery store and figured this was the perfect time to talk more about Regen Braking. I've touched on this in other videos, but Regen Braking is another perk of EVs. So when you're coming to a stop and you let off the gas pedal, the motors will actually spin in reverse, taking that wasted energy and putting it back into the battery, saving you range and becoming more efficient. This in turn provides a different style of driving that I think is actually better, called one pedal driving, where your foot never has to leave the gas pedal. And to show you that, I got my foot cam on the way to the grocery store. So as we come to our first stop, you can see I'm letting off the gas pedal slowly and we're slowing down, and eventually we will make a full stop. I can let my foot off the gas pedal and we're just holding it. Compress the brake itself, and then we wait for traffic, and then we can keep going. So it's that easy. Just leave your foot in the same place the whole time, and it takes care of the rest. So we will come to another stop. I will let off the gas slowly, and come to the stop. Gas is released, and we are fully braked, waiting for traffic again. Now we can move on with our day. So not only is it a different style of driving that I feel is more enjoyable because you're not having to swap back and forth, but it also saves on your brake pads and rotors. So that's another thing that EVs have an advantage of, is that you don't have to replace your brakes and rotors as often as you do in a gas vehicle, because I would say I use it 90% less than driving in a normal gas car. But that being said, if there was a car that came out in front of me and I had to brake all of a sudden, letting off the gas will not brake me fast enough, so I still would have to go over to the brake pedal and use it as normal. But for normal daily driving and expected stops, I can leave my foot on the gas pedal the whole time and not have to worry about it. This regen braking also helps EVs with their efficiency in town, so that's why electric vehicles and hybrids are so much more fuel efficient in town, because they can take that wasted energy of stopping and going and put it right back into the battery. Whereas gas cars, you press the gas, you come to a stop, press on the brake, all that inertia is wasted. Whereas EVs, it takes that inertia, puts it back into the motors and back into the battery, charging your battery as you drive. It's not that much, but it adds up over time. And as we come to the next stoplight, I will show you what it's like if I just let go of the gas pedal completely all at once instead of easing it. Because even though it's not the most pleasant experience, it at least brings you to a stop nice and easy. So I release now. And it eases into the stop and brakes just as you would normally. So even if you let go all at once, it's not going to be boom, stop you, but it'll ease into it, and it has that worked into the system. And as you're stopping at waiting at the stoplight, you can just take your foot off everything and just wait for it and then put it right back on. You don't have to hold it on the brake pedal the whole time. So that's also just a little small thing, but it helps out in the long run, just making the drive more enjoyable. A lot of people think it's a different style of driving, so how long did it take you to get used to it? And honestly, we were not even thinking about it by the second day of owning the car. It was that intuitive that we figured out when to start letting go of the gas, and then when to take your foot off. And by the second day, it was like we've been driving for years. It's also very nice in stop and go traffic when you're on the highway. If you're not an autopilot, which I'm usually an autopilot at that point, but stop and go traffic, you don't have to keep brake and then gas. You're going a little bit in a brake and a gas. You can just leave your foot on the gas and just ease that in and out based on the traffic movement and everything. But that being said, I'm almost always in autopilot with stop and go traffic because it's so convenient. It'll keep the distance with the car in front of me, stay in the lane, so I can just kind of hang out and be more observant with those possible dummies that are trying to take advantage of the stop and go and get around people. And as we come to a complete stop, I will put my foot on the brake just to stop us completely and put us in park, and we're all set. So a whole trip from home to Kroger without even pressing the brake. So one pedal driving is fun time. And now it's time to go get some groceries. And now let's get these put away. Last thing on the driving schedule today is heading over to Finley. Cassie has some headshots to take over there for her business, so once she gets off work, we'll be heading out. And we'll also be stopping at Finley Brewing Company, which is one of our favorite restaurants over there. I need to go get the car packed and ready to go, so once she gets home, we can head out. So let's get packed up. Look what I found.
Me?
Yeah, you. We're on our way to Finley to the headshot shoot. We're all packed up in the back. That's all I got.
So Autopilot is not full self-driving, it's just basic autopilot that combines lane assist as well as adaptive cruise control, where it keeps distance between your car and the car in front of you. Because it's not full self-driving, it will not stop at stoplights by itself. It won't take exits or do any sort of lane changes on the highway. The car will yell at you if you are in autopilot and not looking at the road, or if you're like looking at a phone, or like it just knows there's a camera up here that knows when you're not looking at the road, so it'll do like a little doot doot.
Pay attention.
Yes. It will do a similar thing and get progressively more annoying if you don't put a slight steering force on the wheel too.
So as I'm in autopilot, I'll just have kind of 2 fingers resting on the steering wheel, kind of putting some downward force with the weight of my arm, and that's good enough where it knows I'm there paying attention and my hands are on the wheel. And when I have my hand off the wheel, after about 10-20 seconds or so, it'll start flashing blue on the screen, and then finally it'll beep at me. And then if I still don't apply pressure, it'll slow the car down to a stop, because it assumes that you're either falling asleep or passed out or something bad has happened. So it slowly brings the car to a stop, and you won't be able to use autopilot anymore, that drive.
The 10 or 20 seconds is different based on if you're on a 2-lane road, like traffic coming right at you, or if you have like a highway with a median, a freeway. It will let you go longer without.
I think you can go like a whole minute on the freeway, it seems like. It's a long time.
I counted one time.
At least 30 seconds.
I think it was 30 seconds.
So
but I think it's like 15 for a road like this.
All done with headshots. Now it's time for some FBC. Thank you guys for coming along with me and us today as we take you through a normal day in the life of EV and Venata. We'll catch you guys in the next video. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Okay, good job. You did. Oh,
And
autopilot's yelling at you.
And then talk about that.
Because you're not looking at the road.
Yeah, look at the road.
If you don't look at the road, the car yells at you. Boop, boop. Look at the road. So there's a little camera right there.
Hi, Elon.
Oh my gosh.